In his recent letter on holiness, Pope Francis has a stern warning for Catholic media. Beware of the sins of the devil. In Rejoice and Be Glad, his apostolic exhortation, he writes, quote, "Even in Catholic media, limits can be overstepped. Defamation and slander can become commonplace, and all ethical standards and respect for the good name of others can be abandoned." Joining me now is Jeanette DeMelo, editor-in-chief of the National Catholic Register, our sister publication. Jeanette, we're both members of the Catholic media. Do you think this criticism is justified?
I'm not sure that he is only speaking to us, and this is definitely not the first time. He's done it quite a bit in his daily homilies, urging us not to fall into slander and to gossip. He has some pretty strong words in a document that is supposed to be on holiness, so I think it does call us to examine our own consciences and say, are we guilty of some of this? And at times I think there is room to change.
He was really taking a swipe at critics in Catholic media who complain that maybe he's too liberal. Is the role of the Catholic media to criticize the Pope? What standards should there be?
You know, I think you're right. There's quite a bit in this document that calls out, you know, if you want to use these terms, the Catholic right, or those who lean towards conservatism. And I saw that, and I was a little bit surprised by how much of that is there. I think that we do have a role to examine what the Holy Father has said and how it squares, if you will, with the rest of Catholic teaching. That's the role of a Catholic journalist. But first, we really do need to strive to represent what he has said very accurately.
Because Catholic media outlets reported that the claims by a 93-year-old Italian journalist and professed atheist that Pope Francis told him hell doesn't exist and the disappearance of the souls of sinners exists. So from an ethical standpoint, Jeanette, when you see these stories, how do you deal with that?
That's where the Catholic media has, I think, a responsibility to help correct some of the immediate reactions that happen in the secular media. I mean, sometimes the secular media hears what they want to hear and they run with it. They don't really take the time to say, well, how accurate is this report? And it's our role to take a step back and say, okay, what really did he say? Let's not react to what we think he said. Let's listen to it. Let's read it. Let's find the good in it, the truth in it, the accuracy, and then we can then begin to compare it to the continuity of Catholic teaching.
This kind of media criticism wasn't as prevalent a decade ago, and now the Pope and President Trump are agreeing. So why now? What has changed?
The environment has changed. Everyone becomes a journalist, if you will, or everyone becomes a media personality on the internet. And so there's this constant pressure to be first, to speak the loudest, and of course the shrillest voices often get heard.
Thank you so much for joining us. Jeanette DeMelo, editor-in-chief of the National Catholic Register.
It's good to be with you, Lauren.